Hey, if you're anything like me, you need to have a sense of purpose in what you're doing. So, what happens when you don't? What about the mornings where last night's sleep took more away from you than it did to revive you? And what if those mornings are more common than any other type of mornings? What if you meant it when you said during your job interview that you are passionate about the work, but the work evolved into something it promised it wouldn't, and you wonder if you're ever going to be cut out for a world full of greed, no matter where you go? You begin to think about a world where we don't have to work anymore, where we don't have to get up at the same time that we do just to do the thing that doesn't really matter as much as everyone says it does. But when you really think about a world like that, you also wonder if there would be joy to be had if we didn't have purpose in the thing we do. But isn't that the case already? Would it be much different than how it already feels now? And in the middle of these thoughts, how do you break away? How do you muster up the strength to still get up? The hard truth is that most of us probably tried our best to sum up into one entity, the thing that could fix most other things. I don't know if that's money for you, or your weight, maybe another kind of physical attribute you secretly despise about yourself and you wish to change, your health, or the relationship you wish you had, the job you wish you took, to have someone back in your life, or to possess something you've worked really hard for that you feel as though you deserve. Whether it is that you think that could fix everything that you feel right now, as much as you think it will, I don't know if it will. I'm sure it would help. Of course it would. But as inconsistent and unpredictable as life is, one thing does remain. Something that we can actually rely on. There will always be something else between you and pure satisfaction if you do not see the purpose in living in and of itself. Living simply to live, to breathe, and to be here right now. To acknowledge that to exist alone has purpose, even if we aren't doing all the things and have all the things. I really am so sorry that you and I have been told for so long that we can only make something of ourselves by doing everything and having everything so that our lives can mean something. But it already means something. It always has. And I can say that, but what will it take for you to actually believe it? Do you believe that even without doing or having anything, you waking up today is worthwhile and a gift to this world? Simply because there was, is, and will never be anyone else quite like you here? Do you know that you stripped down just to your thoughts, your outlook, and the nature about yourself is the reason why you're here? Just as purposeful as the river that leads to an ocean. Without you, this world would be different. But you have to believe that. Do you know that you have value without having done or having possessed a single thing? Because if you can't believe that, a new job will never satisfy this in the long run. Neither will the boy, the salary, the treatment, the new apartment, the thing. So how do we find meaning in just being again? How do we find ourselves inspired by the simple things again? Especially in a world that keeps us from doing just that. Well, I think for starters, we need to recognize that this feeling will always come and go. That we will have some really great days ahead, I know you will. But we can't get discouraged for too long when the feeling comes again. We have to just take them as reminders that we're human. And, the fact that we take the time to feel is a beautiful thing that keeps us from being robots. Secondly, we need to get to know ourselves a little better. Depending on the kind of culture, education, or upbringing you had, you may have had your beliefs, standards, interests, and pursuits spoon-fed to you. And depending on your meekness or your stubbornness, you either took them gracefully or fiercely rejected it all. Either way, it shaped you, and thus you are here, thinking and feeling the way you do. When is the last time you really allowed yourself to be you? And what are you doing in your truest form? Not doing something to be productive, but doing something because it helps you feel like you. It helps you feel alive. If finding purpose in living is important to you, do you think it's worth making a little room for the thing that helps you remember who you are? Because the thing is, you'll have to negotiate the all or nothing mindset. Most of us do not have the luxury to drop it all for the unknown. But we can certainly compromise. Like, for me, I've begun to do this. I do it after work. And honestly, it's hard most days because I get off of work quite late. I feel gross, sedentary, and usually uninspired by the time I clock out. I've thought to myself that doing more things instead of just sinking back into bed will make me feel worse. But on my brave days, I pull my hair back up and begin getting my hands dirty. In the messy, creative process, I slowly forget about how uninspiring my workday was. My brain becomes quiet, like a child's somehow, and I'm able to focus on the thing that I'm holding, molding, shaping, and creating. And in that, I then find words that I want to share, expressions I want to make into this world. I'm a creative person, and I really wish to be more of that. And while my job doesn't align with this, and neither does my overall lifestyle, I will do what I can to let more of me back into me. In this process, I promised myself it can't be for others. I can't do it to find value in the viewers, the ones who like my work, and the people who ask me about it in real life. I need to do this for myself. I need to keep doing things to remind myself that I'm worth living for. I need to show up for myself and prove to her that I think she alone is enough of a reason to go out of my way, even if the world may dub it as pointless. I already broke this promise multiple times over this past week. But that's okay, because the thing about doing something for yourself is that you have full agency on whether or not you allow yourself to feel grace. So, with access to grace and the release of worldly expectations, who are you? And what makes you feel alive? Who are you? What makes you feel alive? If you can't afford the cost, the time, or the energy to do the thing, what's the next best thing? Sometimes when I'm finished with my creative work and I lay back in bed, I let the worst of me get to me, where I suddenly grow ungrateful and wonder why I can't do the thing that makes me happy full time and call that work instead. But somewhere along the way, we must also seriously learn that this kind of thinking is our enemy. It really is the worst version of us making an excuse to debilitate us from making an effort. What does sowing a single seed of inspiration back into your life look like? It doesn't have to produce the whole garden. We only need to start with one seed. For me, I'm going to meet you here once a week and keep creating. Because most of this, I'm telling to myself. I'm I'm right here with you. We're all doing this life alone and together. You're not alone.